Hey guys, Joe Richardson here. So I was asked to review a project that we did way back in the past and go over how it would be different in today's real estate market. So basically, we are in a seller's market now. So what that means is that there are more buyers in available inventory, with buyers in direct competition with each other. This question is asking me to go over the difference with doing a flip in a buyer's market. Again, a buyer's market is opposite of the seller's market, where there are more inventory of homes than actual buyers, where these sellers are competing with each other in order to sell their home. As many of you know, in addition to being a real estate investor, I'm also a real estate broker and have been in real estate since 2008. So I experienced at least 3 cycles in real estate. The market was definitely different after the market slowed down in 2008. Most of the buyers back then were investors. There were a lot more foreclosures and options for buyers and investors to choose from. It was not surprising to see a house on the market for at least 3 to 6 months, or sometimes even longer. Buyers could take their time in their search, and it was common to negotiate with sellers on price. Most times you could get concessions on price and or closing costs. Back then, in addition to helping investors find properties, I found myself becoming the project manager after the fact on the renovations. Since most of my investment clients back then worked regular W-2 jobs, so part of my fee included the project management. You may ask, how come I just didn't start and do my own flips back then? So basically, my firm at the time had master listing agreements with several banks and with HUD to sell their inventory. In those agreements, it forbid us from buying bank-owned and REO properties, REO meaning real estate owned. As part of my business, I found myself assisting other investors with the projects. Eventually, the market started to loosen up and more sellers began to list and sell their homes. However, there were more homes for sale than actual buyers. Again, exact opposite to what we're currently experiencing now. So sellers and listing agents had to find ways to differentiate themselves while getting as much as they can for their home. Occasionally, we will come across a seller that is looking to sell their home, but the house needs a good amount of repairs and cosmetic update. In today's market, these types of sellers can probably still get close to the retail value on these homes without doing much or without doing any repairs or updating. However, back then, these sellers would have to come down real low on the price, offer significant concessions, or they would have to just update and repair the house in order to be competitive. This particular project I'm about to go over with you guys is one of those type of deals. The sellers were looking to upgrade and buy a new larger house. However, they needed to sell their current home and hope to use the proceeds as down payment on the new house. The house had a lot of clutter. It needed a cosmetic update. In its initial state, it probably would have only sold for what they owed on the mortgage, which was about $78,000 back then. So, however, with a little updating and making it move-in ready, we determined that we probably could have sold it. We determined that we could sell it for $155,000 to $160,000. Unfortunately, the sellers didn't have the funds on hand, nor the experience to do the renovation. So we offered to assist them while covering the cost of the rehab for us to be reimbursed at closing. All for a higher fee for project managing the renovations and listing the house afterwards. They agreed to it, and we took on the project. We only did a handful of these type of deals back then. The situation and numbers had to work for us in order for us to consider it. It was definitely helpful to be able to offer this service to sellers that needed it. For us, we were able to command a higher fee on the list side. Additionally, we made commission as buyers agents when the clients did buy their next house. So obviously there were risks to us if the house doesn't sell, but it's really the same type of risk you find with any venture in real estate investing. Another difference in today's market versus back then is that everything costs more now. We're seeing that houses are worth more, and rehab and construction costs are significantly higher. Also, projects are taking longer to compete. And this is due to logistical and staffing issues that we're experiencing now. But the same principles still apply today as it did back then. Make sure you understand your market, do your market analysis, use comps to determine your after repair value, and develop a good repair estimate and budget. Then it's just a matter of managing the project and keeping track of the numbers. With all that said, let me go over this project with you guys, and we can go over the numbers at the end. Let's get started. All right, so here's the house. So this is a 3 bedroom, 1 full bath, and 1 half bath house, about 1,400 square feet on a 0.2 acre lot. The house was built in 1971, and it was located in North Durham, North Carolina. So basically, what we're seeing here is how the house looked in its initial state. Uh, the biggest issue on the exterior from this picture was the siding. So when the sellers bought this house, they actually, instead of replacing or changing the siding because they didn't like the colors, they had it painted. However, the painter didn't use the right paint. So there's actual special vinyl paint out there that you can use to paint on vinyl versus switching out the vinyl siding. But however, for whatever reason, the painter that they did use didn't use that type of paint. They used some regular basic, basic paint, and over time, the paint became became like pretty much like powder, and it was blowing off. And you can see that in certain parts that you can see it was wearing down and exposing the vinyl underneath. So basically, part of our cosmetic update was to use vinyl paint instead of replacing the vinyl siding. We just used actual vinyl paint that was designed to paint vinyl siding. So we painted this. The roof was actually in great condition. It was, I think at the time, it was less than 10 years old, so it was still in great condition. You can see the HVAC here. Though it looked kind of rough, it still was in great working order, and we really didn't have it in our budget to do a whole new HVAC system at the time. See, and here's the back of the house. You can see here again the siding, the paint that the sellers had used was wearing off, and you can kind of see that they did have some clutter even back here in the backyard. So that's what the back looked like. All right, and so this is the view of the front door, and right at the front door foyer or front door entrance, off to the right was one of the rooms, one of the 3 bedrooms. You can see here that it was kind of cluttery here. Here is so this house was a split level. So on the main level was the living room, the kitchen. Underneath was a family room, along with that first bedroom that I showed you guys and the half bath. Then upstairs were the 2 bedrooms and the full bath. So in this living room, again, there's a lot of clutter here. So with the sellers, so when we agreed to take on the project and and cover the renovations for them, the sellers did agree to move out of the house, to vacate it, and to, even with the house being all cluttered that it was, they agreed to declutter it too. They did get most of the stuff out, but however, there were some large furniture pieces that they were not able to do. So we had the contractors, as part of the prep, was to cover the large pieces of furniture that the sellers couldn't move out, and which is covered with tarp. So like in this particular living room, they covered the tarp so to protect it from when we did paint it. Then when we replaced the floors here, the contractors actually moved the furniture pieces to different rooms while they were putting new floors and carpet in. It was great that the contractors did agree to do that. It was just more work on their end. But that's basically what this is. I believe this was the living room suite or couches that they left there, and we had the contractors put their tarp over it to protect it. Again, this was the living room on the main level. Here's the kitchen. You can see here It was a laminate countertops. Cabinets were so the cabinets were wood, which was good as far as being able to refurbish it, paint it, and just reuse them. If they were the cheaper particle boards that sometimes you come across with houses, especially at houses built during this time period, the early 70s to early 80s, you find more and more of these particle board kind of cabinets where they do deteriorate pretty quickly, and you just end up having to replace them. But these cabinets were actually wood, so what we just ended up doing was refurbished it and just painted it, and we replaced the laminate countertops with Formica, which was is a cheaper option. Nowadays, what I would do in my cosmetic flips now, because the cost of granite is so much cheaper relatively than what it was back then, I find myself just deciding to go with a granite, like a lower grade type of granite countertop. They're a lot more durable. They're definitely a lot more attractive. So with flips, especially cosmetic flips, you want to put as much effort as you can into the kitchen and the bathrooms. And what I like to do in my flips is, put higher end stuff, especially in the bathrooms if I can. Even back then, with this being with us having a limited budget, we tried to do as much as we can. We're focusing on the bathrooms and the kitchen. So again, this is the kitchen. So this was like some kind of a cheap laminate, and we just replaced with a higher grade vinyl. So what else we did? And of course, we painted the room. There's a better view of it. We did decide to replace the stove with a smooth stove top. We did remove this. I think we removed this backsplash as part of the look. Let's see what else we did. So here's one of the bedrooms. Again, it was clutter. A lot of effort had to go into to declutter our house, and that's pretty common with any renovations. When you want to, when you start, you end up having to declutter and prepping the house in order to begin the work. Again, here's that living room again, and where we put the tarps above, or the tarps on the living room's suites. And here's the kitchen's right next door to that, and this was the stairs that were going up. Let's see, another view of the tarp. Another view of one of the other rooms. Yep, another bedroom. Like I say, there are 3 bedrooms and 1 full bath, 1 half bath. So here's the full bath. So what we did here, and you'll see with the pictures when I show you the pictures, we end up updating a whole new vanity. We kept the tub in. We just cleaned it up, refurbished it. But however, we elected to tile the tub in, give it a little bit higher finishes, or higher end finish. Again, the reason, even I still do it today, but it's definitely back then, because again, these sellers were competing with other sellers. So we, as part of differentiating yourself and competing with these other sellers, that offering higher end kitchens and bathrooms at the same price point, it's definitely something that that we did on a lot of our flips, even our cosmetic flips back then. Oh, so we did replace the floors here with a higher end vinyl. One of the issues that we came across when we pulled up these floors was that, and again, this is common with a lot of bathrooms that we come across, is that over time there was some water damage that caused some rot in the subfloors, and we just ended up having to replace that. And so it added a little bit more to our renovation costs at the end. Before I jump into the finished project of this house. Another things that we run across, and again, this is common for flips, even cosmetic flips, is electrical. Even though you may see that electrical panel, or as part of your inspection that electrical has been updated, most times you still want to get like a licensed electrician to go through it just to make sure everything's set. For this particular house, we did run into some issues with some of the ground, or some of the with the wiring, and some of the outlets were not properly grounded. So we had to get a licensed electrician in there to fix issues. And again, that added to our renovation cost too. So our budget, the budget that we came up with for this cosmetic flip was $15,000 at the time, and we ended up spending a little bit more money on this cosmetic flip. So the difference, all right. So to go back, the difference of then to difference of now is that so back then we were able to do this cosmetic update with $15,000. The same cosmetic update probably would have cost us double than what we paid back then. So a budget of $15,000 back then, almost 10 years ago, would probably cost us about $30,000 now. So just keep that in mind. And again, like I say, everything costs more now than it did back then. But yeah, all right. So let me just go into show you what the house looked like with what's being done. You can see here again the biggest change in the front was painting the siding, the vinyl siding. We elected to keep the vinyl siding to keep our costs low, but using a special vinyl paint to change the look of it. We did painted the shutters, and we cleaned up the landscape some more. Just kept it simple, kept the landscape simple. We did service the HVAC system, so the existing HVAC system we kept, and we just serviced it versus replacing it. And that, again, replacing it wasn't part of our budget. So here's the back of it. Again, siding using a special vinyl paint to change the color of the siding. And pretty much a lot of effort was into decluttering the backyard. So here's the front door. Front door looks, only thing we did with the front door was we painted it. Just the same exact front door that was always been there, but we painted it, and it kind of looked, definitely was a nice facelift for the door. For the foyer, we put in, did we put in tile? No, so we used the upgraded vinyl flooring in the foyer, as well as in the bathrooms and in the kitchen, and in the living rooms and the family room. We elected to, instead of going with laminate again, we elected to go with carpet. Again, this is just to keep our costs, our budget low, and carpet, relatively to laminate is cheaper. Nowadays, with my flips now, I probably would have elected to go with luxury vinyl planks, LVP. Those are the type of flooring I like to do with my renovations now. But back then, we elected to go with an upgraded vinyl flooring and with carpet. We also went around and changed out some of the fixtures, like the doorknobs, the hinges. And those kind of things go a long way with changing the way the house looks as part of its facelift. So here's the living room. This is the same furniture that was kept there that we covered up. But yeah, so we just end up painting it, putting some crown molding in, and putting new carpet in. Like I say, basic cosmetic update. Here's the kitchen. Again, we went with a Formica countertop. We kept the cabinets. We painted white. So even back then, white was starting to become trendy. It wasn't as trendy as it is now. I guess a few years ago. But as part of the refurbishment of the cabinets, white is definitely a good option to use. And we also put these hardware tier, hardware in order to help with the facelift. So both the lower and the top. And again, we did replace the stove. We ran out of money in our budget to put a new refrigerator in. We did ask the seller if they wanted to put in a new fridge, and that would have been on them to do. However, they elected not to do it. So this is what the kitchen looked like when we were done with our renovations, or I guess with the rehab. So the sink is the same, but we replaced this fixture, and we went around and replaced all the lighting fixtures too, upgrading it, or as part of the facelift. And then, again, this was the higher end vinyl floors that we used. And here's the same bedroom. So we used some of the seller's furniture pieces that they left there as part of the staging. New carpet, new paint, replaced the hinges, replaced the doorknobs. Did some work with electrical, some repairs to the electrical in this room. And here's the one full bath. Again, as I mentioned, we replaced the vanity, and we refurbished the tub, and we actually decided to tile it in, and new floors, paint, new lighting fixtures, new mirrors, new faucets. So pretty much, again, an upgrade. And like I mentioned before, we did some repairs to the subfloor before we actually put the new floors on top. Let's see what else we did. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And here's the half bath that was on the lower level. Oh, we also replaced the so this toilet was the same toilet. However, the toilet in the half bath was had to be replaced. So we replaced that toilet. We put the same floors in, new vanity, new mirrors, new light fixtures, and paint in the half bathroom too. Same thing with doorknobs and hinges too. So that's pretty much what that looked like. So I'll put this picture here as part of the presentation. So, all right, so when we got done with the rehab, again, we had the sellers agreed to move out of the house, allow us to do the renovations. So this is a kitchen, and from the kitchen there was a family room. So, and this is the same bed that was, in the master living room that we had staged. So when the house was ready and to put it on the market, I actually went back out to the house just to check on things prior to having it go live on MLS the next day. Unknown to me, at the time, sellers decided to move back into the house prior to us starting to show it. And what they did was they moved the bed from the master into the family room. And this was like first thing you see when you walk into the house from the side door was, the family room with this bed in it. So that was kind of awkward. But this kind of things that you run across in real estate all the time. You set expectations with sellers, especially trying to do these joint ventures, and they have their own, mind on what they want to do. But yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. A lot of the feedback we received from the buyer's agent that, bed in the family room when you walk in from the side door was kind of awkward, which, it was awkward. But yeah, we did sell it. So let's see if I go with the numbers. All right, so here's the numbers. Again, this was a joint venture that we agreed to do with the sellers at the time. It was owner occupied, with the sellers agreeing to move out while we did our renovations. The existing mortgage on the house was $78,000. The sellers agreed to maintain the utilities, keep the insurance on it, and cover the holding costs for the house. While my firm, we did a project management and we covered the rehab costs of the project. So we end up selling the house for $158,000. We did have to offer a concession of $2,300. Again, back then that was common, as part of the market for sellers to offer some kind of concessions to the buyers as part of the seller's closing or sellers paid closing costs. So that was the concessions. The closing cost of $4,200 was mostly the buyer's agent commission. Um, Overall, the renovation cost to us was $16,500. Our budget was $15,000. We went slightly above our budget, and the reason the reason for that was that we had to make repairs to the subfloor in the bathroom and update some of the electrical in some of the bedrooms in the house. Uh, our project management fee and our marketing fee that we charged the seller was 8%, which came out to be about $12,600. So basically how this worked was that we cover the renovation cost of $16,500, and when we sold the house, we were reimbursed this amount, and we made this amount of money. So to us, our return on our investment for this project was 76.4%. From start to finish, it took about 3.5 months back then. So it took about 3 weeks to do the renovations. Once we put it on the market, it was on the market for about 30 days before it went on the contract. Then once it went on contract, it took 30 to 45 days for the buyer to close. So altogether, from start to close, it took approximately 3.5 months. Again, that's different from today's market. On average, homes are on the market for less than 14 days. In some areas, it's even less than 7 days. So again, it was a different market back then. So all in all, the sellers, they owe $78,000 on their mortgage. We fixed it up for them, and they pretty much got the max move-in value of the house at $158,000, and they end up walking away with $43,000 that they use as down payment for their next house. And again, the benefit to us was that we represented them as their buyer's agent for their next house. So in addition to us making the $12,600 here on this side, we made the commission on the buyer's agent side for the next house. So again, that's one of the reasons why we decided to take on this project, with us managing the renovations, while the seller still maintain ownership of the house. And again, we only did this a handful of times. The numbers had to work. The situation at the repair values are, it couldn't be too much renovation costs. It was we only did mostly for cosmetic updates. And again, it was just to help the seller to stand out when they're competing with other sellers when selling their house, and in order to get as much as they can from the sale. So that's pretty much the numbers in this project that we did. That we did back in the time when it wasn't a seller's market. It was a buyer's market. And again, sellers were competing with each other in order to sell their house. Let's see what else. Oh, and just to show you how crazy the real estate market is. So this, like I said, I think this was about 10 years ago. So they ended up selling for $158,000. The same house in Durham, 1,400 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 1 full bath, 1 half bath, that sold for $158,000 about 10 years ago. It's probably worth about $250,000 to $260,000 now in this part of Durham. So, if the sellers had not bought their new house and then stayed in this current house, they would have made some more money. But that's after the fact. Again, we didn't know how crazy the market was going to be this year. If you take into account that the house that they did end up buying and moving into was a larger house, so they end up making out anyway. So that's basically this project. Again, it's a project that we did in the past when it was a buyer's market. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later. All right. Bye.